sit in the fridge. I got my water. Don't have my other drink. I got to have my green tea. There we go. I was drinking a water before the live stream. I'm like, wait a minute. I got to have my green tea. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let's see who's all here. Sandy's in the house. Dale from Ohio. Carol Prince. H. Smith. JJ's here. Kathy's here. Ricky Bobby. Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you guys have had a great weekend. We had a great weekend here at the homestead. Hey, DJ, how you doing? Got a lot of stuff done, which was, the goal. Obviously, it's always the goal. But we made really good headway on the pavilion project. So I'm really, really happy. You probably saw the video at 3 o'clock. And so we're definitely gearing in the right direction as far as that project. Hopefully, notice how I say that, next month we will finish that project up and kind of go from there. So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, so before we jump into anything, I want to remind everybody that this is a very family-friendly oriented channel. I would ask you all to please be decent in the chat. No racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those very simple, easy rules, those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches are going to boot you out of here. The children will come in and play, but JJ and the crew will kick them right out of here. I would ask if anybody comes in acting stupid that you do not engage with them, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for attention because they're children. So anyway, all right. So are you afraid yet? Right? That's my question. That was the main thing here. And I'm going to tell you what, guys. We're going to talk about this. And I think that this is a very interesting thing, to be honest with you. You have one side, the left, the other side, the right. And then you got a lot of people somewhere in the middle or wherever. But you got one side blaming the other side's blaming the other side. There's all this talk of potential civil war and all this type of stuff, which I think that would be really difficult. A civil war would just not work. It just how do you fight that in every single state? It's not going to be like this state's going to be. It's not like the Civil War. It wouldn't be like the Civil War where this state we're going to be blue and this state we're going to be gray. It wouldn't be like that because you have conservatives and liberals all over the place. What I want you to think about is this. Do the people really in charge? And I'm not talking about the people on the left. I'm not talking about the people on the right or the far left or the far right. I'm talking about the people that are really in charge. The people that are really in charge that really run this country, okay? And there's people talk about a shadow government. Would not surprise me at all if there's people. But you look at who really, in a lot of cases makes a lot of the decision making. It's big business, folks. Big business. So, they're the ones that are, really in charge of a lot of things. But then you also have the people, behind the scenes that are calling the shots. Psychopaths are in charge, exactly. But what do they want, right? What do they want? And this is where I'm talking about. Are you okay? They want you to be galvanized, to hate that side of the aisle. They want you to hate that side of the aisle because if you hate that side of the aisle or that side of the aisle, you will never, ever focus on the real problem in this country, which there's two, in my opinion, other than the shadow government that really runs things, okay? And that's big business and the government and what they're doing with our money and everything else. I want you to think about something, guys. We're going to talk about this really, really quickly, okay? Single white Christian American girl with her master's degree and hair color blonde to cover 62 years of gray hair should be scared. You really shouldn't be scared, though. That's the whole point. They want you to be afraid. They want you to, again, hate the other side. We're all human beings. But if they can keep us at each other's throats, again, what are the tools that we're using? Let's think about it. What tools are they using? Race, that's been one for a long, long time. I hate them because they're this color. I hate them because they're that color. And they keep that perpetuating. And the media is great at that. Okay. Also, they use religion. Oh, they're going to take away, your rights and your freedoms. They're going to stop abortion, or they're going to do this, or you're not. I mean, it's insanity, folks. It's insanity. That's what keeps the pot stirred, right, and keeps you focused. Listen, here's my thing. Okay, if you are pro-choice or pro-life when it comes to abortion, that's your choice. Don't do it or do it. It's up to you. I'm not here to tell you you have to do it this way. That's not my job. Okay. That is, again, that's something personal, private. It should not be, again, what religion you decide to be. Maybe you were raised up in Catholicism and didn't like it. So you switched to this religion or that religion. Now you found the greatest religion in the world and you're happy. As long as it gives you peace of mind, great, wonderful. Okay. But they want you guys, everybody on here, me, everybody, they want us all at each other's throats fighting. Now, do I think some of the people on the left are pretty out to lunch? Yes, I do. But I'm going to tell you what, folks, there's some people on the right that are pretty out to lunch too. They don't hold on to that power for 30 and 40 years without doing certain things that are not above board, right? Somebody's getting their palms greased. You look at like Chuck Schumer would be one. I'm trying to think of Rand Paul's been in there quite a while too. But again, when it comes to politicians, folks, they're all the same. They are all the same. They're not on our side. I don't care who they are. They're not on our side. They're going to always do two things. And again, I think this is something that we really got to remember. Okay, they're going to look out for the special interest groups that got them elected and their rich friends. That's who they're going to watch out for. They're not watching out for me and you. What do we got? 202 in the chat already. We got 164, or we got 64 thumbs up. Sorry. I wish it was at 164. That'd be cool. But so if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, please do so to show support for the channel, and I do appreciate it. It really does make a huge difference with the algorithm, so I thank you for that reason as well. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. Fear is a tool. What about Trump, Ed? Okay, well, you want my honest opinion? And I told you guys, I like Trump as opposed to the alternative. But Trump has always been part of the elite, folks. All right, the guy's a billionaire. Remember when he was hanging out with Oprah Winfrey, Al Sharpton, and all the crew and all that, and then all of a sudden he decides to become a Republican, and now he's a racist, and he's terrible, and he's this and that. I mean, like I said, I like Trump. I will be the first to admit I like Trump. I like a lot of the stuff that he's doing. Here's something that I want to talk about. Let's think about this one, okay? So Trump sends Doge in right away, and they find all this corruption and mismanagement of funds and stuff like that, right? Think about it. Remember that one? And then all of a sudden, oh my God, Elon Musk is a Nazi. These Doge kids, they're getting this clearance or going into places they shouldn't go, and what's going on here? Mitch McConnell, yes, that was another one I was thinking of, Larry. Been in there forever, But so he goes in and he's doing all this stuff. But what's going on? What happened? We should be getting like weekly reports. We went into this department and we found all this corruption. Because I'm going to tell you what, how many different, okay, I love you, but I'm busy right now. No, we're not doing this tonight. No, we're not. You were just outside a little while ago. Come on, stop. No, just stop. Down. Okay. They should be going. There's so many different branches that they could be investigating. And now all of a sudden they're not. You're not hearing anything about that. What's the latest on Doge? Where's the updates? What are we hearing, right? The supposed falling out between Musk and Trump, which I think was completely fabricated, but that's just my opinion, right? Because you know, all of a sudden his stock was going down and people were, attacking people that had, Teslas. I mean, morons. But you push the right people, right? Push the right buttons and they line up and let's go do this and that. Again, there's a lot of games being played, folks. They want you to get caught up in it. They want you to be emotional. They want you to react. Okay. But, you know, I don't believe that Trump and Elon Musk had a falling out. I don't think so at all. That was all, and strictly, again, this is strictly my opinion. This is not based on any fact, nothing else, okay? But his stock was hurting. He needed to step back. They probably had a conversation. He goes, okay, you do a couple of tweets and we'll make it look like we had a falling out, and then your stock will go back up, which it has, right? Did people stop attacking Teslas, right? Is he no longer a Nazi? I mean, it's so stupid. And people in general are so stupid. They buy all this stuff. They fall for it every time. Okay. We have to realize we're being played, we're being manipulated. I've talked about that a lot. Again, what do I always say? Control what you can control. Always say that, because we're not going to change the powers that be. They're going to come up with the next thing to get you all riled up. And listen, okay, the Charlie Kirk thing was the Senate voted not to release the Epstein files 3 hours after Charlie's assassination. Well, there's a nice little distraction, so that you don't see what they're doing. That's interesting. Why not? Who were they protecting? And again, there's another thing. Because now let's think about this. Epstein had all this information on all these people that were doing underhanded things, right? If I'm in some part of the government and now I have that information, you don't think that I'm going to use that to my advantage? Of course you would. Of course you would. You're a politician. You're in power. So I'm sure that is what a lot of that is being done there with that. They should release all that information. But if they did, there'd be a lot of people that would be going down. And the faith, whatever faith that people have in the government, that would be completely eroded. In Hollywood, in government, and, people of importance, if you will. Folks, it's all a big game. It really, truly is. And they never have our best interests at heart. You got to remember that. They don't. How far were those people in Hawaii, right, that dealt with all those fires, and they give them a loan? What was it, $350? Same thing for the people in, North Carolina with the flooding. Give them a little pittance. Here you go. Here's a little bit of money. Good luck. What does that do? It's ridiculous. But yet they'll throw millions, hundreds of millions, to allow illegal immigrants to come in the country. And again, that's another whole slippery slope of why that was being done. Who benefits? Again, always follow the money. Always, always, always follow the money. Who benefits because of that situation? The rich and the powerful do, because they're the ones that, they are hiring these people to work in their factories, probably at a lesser wage, and they're not going to complain or cause any problems because they don't want to be deported. So it's a huge cycle. And so in the meantime, what are we doing, right? The awful left, the awful right, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're terrible. We need to do something about it. We need to rise up. Rise up and do what? What are you going to lock up every liberal out there? You're going to lock up every conservative out there? It's never going to happen. And they showed videos of that guy jumping off the roof, how he could fit that rifle in that small backpack. Well, and so let's talk about that a second, Larry. So he breaks the rifle down, puts it in a little backpack, then goes, while he's running away, right? He's running away because he just killed Charlie Kirk, right? So he stops in the woods, reassembles the rifle, and puts it in a case and leaves it there with the bullets, right? Anti this and anti that. I'm asking questions. That's all I'm asking. I find that interesting. That's what I would do, right? That's a rational thing to do. Break the rifle down because you just assassinated the dude. You get off the roof, run off into the woods, reassemble it, and put it in a case in the woods. They won't find it. That's a drop spot. Come on, guys, really? If you already had it broken down and it was in your backpack, right? Why would you do that? It's just, like I said, that's just, I just have questions. I just have questions. Now, usually, if there's an assassination, right, usually, they leave the rifle behind, don't they? That I don't know. I'm just curious. That's normally what they do a lot of times. Obviously, I'm not in that mindset. I'm not looking to go out and kill somebody, but I don't think I would want to be jumping off the roof and have a rifle in my hand while I was running off trying to blend in with the crowd. That's just me. We will never, never, never know the full truth of everything. Okay. So I don't know if you guys saw this, and I laugh at this type of stuff. I laugh at it because it's so ridiculous. So what did the left put out here, right? What did the left put out here with this suspect? Let's think about this. I saw somebody's post today on Facebook. Oh, he was a straight white male coming from a Republican family, right? You know, that's who it is. It's mega. It's well, wait a minute. If he was mega, he wouldn't be killing Charlie Kirk. He would be applauding him, right? If you're mega, they love Charlie Kirk. I like Charlie Kirk. What I liked about Charlie Kirk, folks, is he would let both sides speak. He had his opinion. He would share his opinion. But it's like that's what they said. Now then all of a sudden now we hear, right, from other things, well, this guy was in a relationship with a transgender individual. They were living together. Now I don't know. Dude, I don't know what's true. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not true. But, you know, why does it have to fit in this box? He's got to be this. He's got to be that, or he's got to be something else, you know? Why did the murder get published days before it happened? That's a good question too, Tony. Or the book, that lady had the book, right? So, like I said, again, a lot of things happen. We're never going to know all the answers. We're not in the loop, okay? We can sit here and we can speculate all day long, and that's great and that's wonderful. But yeah, he offered his microphone to all, and they cursed him and they called him horrible names, and you know, and he was calm, and he never wrote 30-06. Yes, it was a 30-06, is what they're saying. It was scoped. It was scoped, but yeah, I don't know, folks. You know, but again, trigger reaction, right? Let's get it going. Let's get rocking. I didn't do any work, Larry, on the chicken run. We were a little busy working in the pavilion and doing other things this weekend. I don't know if you watched the video. You know, we weren't sitting around. Well, hell, let's stop, baby. I love you, but you got to stop. Is that one of the cats? So, but anyway, again, remember, all we are pawns. We're pawns. The chess masters are pushing those pawns the way that they want them to go. Okay? They're pushing you to have a reaction, to be upset. Don't pay attention to what's going on over here, right? Because while we got you distracted with this, we're going to be doing this over here. So, do you think the shooter should get the death penalty for killing Charlie Cook? Or Kirk? No, I think he should be alive, put in general population where they would probably kill him anyway because they would want the street cred. But I think he should suffer a living hell for the rest of his life in prison. That would be, to me, a great way of doing it. Put him with people that, you know, put him in with the sodomites. I'm sorry, you know. That's just my take. No, so you kill him, it's over. He's done. Why? You know? But again, we got to remember, okay? A lot of games are being played, and we're the pawns. and they want to keep you unfocused. They don't want you to narrow in and look at the government. They don't want you to do that. So if they can keep you fighting over stupid other little piddly crap, then they can continue business as usual and do whatever they're doing. You know, I want you to think about something. And this again, I have a lot of questions, folks. So we had all these people come in from the southern border, right? A lot of kids. A lot of kids came in from the southern border. Where's the kids? How many of them are missing? Remember to always watch your surroundings instead of the drama unfolding. Exactly, Sandy. Situational awareness. Situational awareness. And again, but so where's all these kids, folks? Where did they go? What happened to them? Right? You don't really hear a whole lot about that. You don't hear a lot about that. Yeah, Larry's saying 300,000. 300,000 kids. Where are they? Right? Working on a marijuana farm in California, like some of them were? I don't know. You know, sold into sex trafficking, sold to people. You don't know. But again, we need to or yeah, we're our organ harvesting. There's another great one. Yeah. That's a really good point. Black market, you're talking, kidneys, hearts, livers, all that, nice and young. Yep. So, has anybody checked Epstein Island for him? Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, remember the drones, the measles, the balloons, the National Guard, the fires, the explosions? Yeah. Nobody, it, folks, we have our attention span is like that. Our attention span is like that. So we got 285 in the chat, guys. We got 126 thumbs up. Again, if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to please do so. That's less than half right now. So I do appreciate that. It really does make a big difference with the algorithms. The more interaction, the better for the channel. So I do appreciate that as well. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon to get all notifications as well. And I thank you for that as well. So, but folks are playing a lot of games with us constantly, and they want, like I said, they want you to be upset. They want you to be afraid, because if you're afraid, you're looking for someone to make it okay, to justify, your feelings, regardless of what side, regardless of what you're upset about or angry about. I just, if I remember correctly, and again, so what did and I've talked about this before, comparisons of Nazi Germany in the pandemic. Show me your papers. You can't go anywhere unless you show me your papers that you've complied and did what you were told, right? I remember that. Do you remember that? Right? You had to have your little pamphlet that showed that you went and did what you were supposed to do so you could go in to some place. You know what I found the most amazing? This was the best and one of my favorites. So you got your mask on because you're a good citizen, right? You did your mask, right? So you go into the restaurant and you got a booth here, empty booth there, and then the people over here in that booth, and you had like the plastic up so high, right? But you could take your mask off to eat. It was wonderful. They allowed you to do that. Isn't that great? I mean, if you think about the insanity of it, you know, and what did they also do? It was magic, and then like magic, boom, all over, no more masks needed. Everybody can run around again, and everybody can go to baseball games, and do all that type of stuff, right? No, we're not going into Venezuela, Larry. Absolutely not. Nope, I don't believe so. Unless there is a manufactured event to be mad about. What are you doing, silly? He's being a goof. What are you doing? You good boy? Yeah. He's such a cool cat. Yeah. There's another one, Alex. That makes a good point. Who's heard about Anthony Fauci anymore? Well, he did retire, but what are you hearing about that? Anything? Right? It's constant, right? It's constant. You had the Bundys took over that nature reserve, and all these people flocked there, right? And then they got them because they were traveling to speaking events and talking to people, right? And then as soon as they got the ringleaders, if you will, and had them arrested, everybody else disappeared. They got out of Dodge, right? It's they want you to play these games, folks. They want you to play these games. So if you feed into that, then you're gonna, you could end up in jail. You could be sitting there like the Bundys did, sitting in jail forever, how long? And so by the time they let you out of jail, you don't want to be causing any more trouble anymore. It's just the way it goes. Anybody can be controlled, and I don't care who it is. Anybody can be controlled. You could sit here all day long and tell me, oh, not me. They're not going to control me. But if they do the right things and put the right pressure on you, absolutely, yes, they can. You sit in a cell for a while and have everything taken away. Yeah, do you want to play a game? The computer voice. Exactly, Tess. Exactly. But again, control what you can control, folks. Take care of. Tell it. Stop. For the love of God. You don't ever mess with me. Like, I swear to you guys, the only time she does this is when I'm live streaming. Only time. So I don't know what her issue is. She's like, pay attention to me. Yeah, they use fear and very well to control, and it worked. Exactly. Scared you, thought, oh my God, if you don't do this, everybody's going to die. You're going to, your family, you're doing it not just for yourself, but you're doing it for everybody else. And a lot of people jumped on board. And when not enough people jumped on board, what did they use then next, right? Well, if you don't do it, you lose your job. If you don't do it, you can't go to school. You can't go to nursing school, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. It's all about control, right? So, and there were people, me being one of them, I was like, there's no way I was doing that. No way. But I was luckily enough to be in a position where I didn't have to make that hard decision and say, okay, do I take care of my family? My kids were grown, so it just tough situation, and I don't fault anybody that felt like they had to do it to keep their job because they got to take care of their families. I get it. All right. So I'm not saying that I'm judging you because you did or didn't do it, but, other than that, it was a personal choice. You made it. And now you live with the consequences of it. But I will tell you what, I don't think that there's one person that didn't do it that regrets not doing it. That I will say. So, especially when you see a lot of the things that have happened as a result of that. But anyway, again, like I said, everything it's all a distraction while they're doing something else behind your back that you're not aware of. Okay, why are they not going through every single department in this country, government-wise, and see where the money's being spent? Audit all of it. Follow the money. See how much more money they're pissing away, because that's exactly what they're doing. And or siphoning it off to send it back into somebody else's pocket. So, but like I said, guys, if you take care of your business, do what you can do to put yourself in a good situation when the time comes. And I'm telling you right now, I fully believe it is a matter of time. It is a matter of time. So that's what we got to, we're on a clock. We're on a clock. So either you do something about it, or you play into the distractions and you get angry about this, and stress will kill you. Okay. Stress will kill you. That's a fact. Okay. Stress will kill you. So, but Don't get yourself all worked up about these things. I mean, be upset that somebody would do something like they did with Charlie Kirk. I mean, it's a horrible thing. Should never happen. You know what I mean? But you just, I don't know, guys. A lot of games. A lot of games. I'm late. What's the topic you're talking about? Well, you have to go back in and watch it later, America First. You can join us now, but we're not going to rehash everything we've already been talking about for the last half an hour. Um, so you'll have to go back and watch the first half an hour later. Be smart, folks. Situational awareness. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Be ready. You know, one of the things that I tell people all the time is, like, especially the group members, if you think something's about to go down, it's time to go. I don't care if you're at work or not. And I've told my daughter the same thing. Don't, if I call you and tell you to get here, you leave. You leave work, you go home, you pack the car, and you get here. Now, could it be a false alarm? Could be, but it's a good test run. Every false alarm, folks, lets you realize, what did I forget? What did I do wrong? What did I do right? And then you can adjust that for the next time. But if it's not a false alarm, and the quicker you get here, the better off you're going to be. You know, so that's, again, those are the things, you know, or your location, wherever you're trying to go. You know, and I hope you guys all have a plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and the people you're going to hook up with and work together with. I really do. I hope you do, because you're going to need that. So you're going to need that. You know, have a meetup spot for your family. I mean, if you go, just start straight with families first. Have a meetup spot. Know where you're going to go. What are we going to do if this happens? Where are we going to meet? And then go from there. Because, you know, it's... Okay, JJ, would you get rid of this moron? I kind of had a feeling he was going to be a moron. So I would appreciate that. America First. I knew it. I could just tell. So go ahead and take care of that if you would, please. And thank you ahead of time. Yep. Now, I'll tell you what. I don't live in fear, ever. I'm not afraid. You know, I always used to tell people, like, I'll give you an example. Like, when I lived in the city, okay? When I lived in the city, people say, aren't you afraid? You know? And I always said this. I said, listen, the worst they can do is kill me. And if they kill me, then I don't have to pay taxes or go to work anymore. And that was always my attitude. I will not live in fear. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to be respectful of other people. You have the right to your opinion. I have the right to mine. I have the right to live my life the way I want to. You have the right to live your life the way you want to. You know, I live out in the middle of the woods because that's where I want to be. Number one. That's number one. Now, obviously, everything that I do is about prepping and preparedness. So, you know, yes, that's how I live my life, but it's not out of fear. I'm not afraid. Something goes down, it happens. We just do what we got to do then. You know, the more time we get, the more time we buy, if you will, the better off we're going to be. It's as simple as that. And so, you know, that's where I'm at with it. You know, I don't worry about things that I'm not in control of. I'm really not, you know. So, again, a lot of games are being played. Do the best that you can. Be as ready as you can. And when that time comes, we do what we have to do. Simple as that. Simple as that. And it's all about a choice. But yeah, there's a difference between being afraid and being cautious. Yes, there is a big difference, a big difference. So, but like I said, life is interesting. It really is, and it is a game. That's what we got to remember too. Life is a game. So it's how you play the game, you know. And like I said, it's just I just do my thing. And like I said, well, you know, I will not be disrespected. You are not going to belittle me or talk down to me. I'm not going to deal with that. But I'm going to try to treat you the same way that I want to be treated. That's, I think, is really important, you know. But you know, we need to take care of our own business. We got to stop worrying about what everybody else in the world is doing as a country. First of all, we need to worry about here. There is a lot of bridges, infrastructure, the power grid, water, all that really needs to be addressed because it's antiquated, especially the power grid. Now I realize that somebody had mentioned on here before. They said, well, where I'm at, they're working on the power grid, here and there. But yeah, maybe it's little patches here and there, but you're not going to, they need an overhaul, which would be trillions of dollars to do that. So got to stay focused on self and keep moving forward. That's a good point, Tess. Absolutely. Yeah, my only stress is about having enough funds to get everything in place there. I hear you, Sandy. I hear you. Knowledge is more powerful than any army on the battlefield. It is. It is. And like I said, again, once you realize, again, how much they're trying to manipulate us all the time. I mean, the pandemic is a great example, folks. I mean, if that wasn't the biggest mind F you ever saw in your life, I don't know what was. And so now, again, and I said this before, when people would say to me, I can't believe the rest of the Germans went along with Hitler and everything with that. I can't believe that they just did that. Well, now you know, because all of you here did it. Most of you here did it, I should say. Not all, but a lot of people did that. And they jumped on board and they had the hotline. Joe Smith is not complying. He's doing this or that. Here's the hotline. So they could go and get Joe Smith and say, hey, you're not doing what you're told. So, oh, exactly, JJ. And I'm not going to mention that, but people can look at that. Okay. But they had hotlines. But yet, in the meantime, right, Nancy Pelosi could go into the salon and get her hair done. And that was fine. But the rest of you momos out in California, if you were in San Francisco, had to have it done outside. But she could go have it done inside. So remember, there's rules for us, and then there's the rules for them. They still had parties. They still did what they wanted to do. But heaven forbid that you should gather. If you wanted to go to church, you weren't allowed to do that. So again, I'm bald but do my own hair. Me too. How about that? I just did it just before the live stream. I hope it looks nice. Again, control what you can control. I think is the best way to go. It really is. Look at the manipulation. Realize we're being manipulated. The first thing is realizing that they're playing all kinds of games with us. Why are they not releasing the Epstein files? Who are they covering up for? What are they hiding? Those are good questions, right? Where's all our money going? Why are we not continuing in getting weekly reports? We found this many millions here. We found that many millions there. There's $1 billion here, $1 billion there. That adds up. That adds up. Oh, the alien card soon. I had somebody, and I just thought this was funny. So, and again, you can believe whatever you want, folks. I honestly do not care. You can believe whatever you want. But when I talked about that, I do believe that there's other intelligent life out there, all right, that it's arrogant to think that we're the only intelligent life in the universe. And I talked about that, and somebody came on and was like, aliens or demons. So that's their answer. That explains it all. Aliens or demons, that's all it is. Fallen angels tricking you and manipulating you. If that works for you, if that helps you sleep at night, good for you. I hope that it's great. But I like to try to be a little more open-minded and go, there's things that are not explained or explainable, I mean, how the pyramids, guys, so finely put together that you can't put a sheet of paper in between, and so precise, and the stones were so big and from 300 miles away. How did they get them there? How did they put it together? With what they had available at that time. So again, you don't know. We won't know. We'll never know. What? Let's have another question. Want a question, guys? Here's a question. How come there's a treaty with all these different governments that they're not going down into Antarctica and going for oil and exploring and doing that. I didn't say that the pyramids equaled aliens. I did not say that. I'm just saying it could have been an ancient civilization that built the pyramids that had a technology that we do not have available to us now. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I didn't say that was aliens. Could have been. I didn't say it was, though. I'm just saying keep an open mind about it. That's all. Unexplainable stuff you don't understand. I don't understand. What's the place down in South America? Um, to go. No, that Tepley. Oh no, that's not it. That I'm trying to think of the one where it's got like looks like H's in the stone that are perfectly symmetrically done, like it was done with like a rock cutter that they didn't have back then. So I again, yeah, they're well. That's another thing with the giants. Yeah, they're absolutely saying there was giants. Well, that's guys. If you look at it, if you read your Bible, that's in the Bible that the fallen angels came down, bred with the women, right? Had these giant children, and they were all killed in the flood. Remember that? I remember that. I mean, it's been yes, that's the one Nostradamus, Machu Picchu, down in South America. Look at that. Explain that one to me. Explain that. These are questions, guys. I mean, stuff didn't happen by magic. So yeah, Gilgamesh. Right, exactly. Exactly. Yes, in Peru. Yep, absolutely. That's what I was thinking of. I knew I could see it in my mind, and I could see the site, and they've showed it. But these are things. And your archaeologists, they don't have the answers. They can speculate, and they could make an educated guess, but they don't know, just like we don't know. Yeah, they're finding giant skeletons. They were saying it was even here in the United States, the Indian history. If you look at the American Indian history, and they were saying it was a race of giant redhead of people that were eating people. So and how old do you think the Earth really is? Much old, way billions of years old, billions of years. And for all of you that's going to say oh, it's only 2,000 years old, well, good for you, and you can think what you want to think. But I have this thing in my head called a brain, and I actually use it to think sometimes. You look at the fossils that they're finding, guys, of things that are like beyond old. There's a talk. They talk about the cycle of the pole shift every 36,000 years, right? There's been speculation about that, and what's happening right now? We got a pole shift going on. You look at the ancient Mayan calendar. What's that? That's only 12,000 years old, right? Wasn't that 12,000 years old? The calendar for the Mayans, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember completely. So, but like I said, I believe in this. I believe in keeping an open mind. That's what I believe. And yeah, only 2025 years AD. How many billion before that? Exactly, Sandy. Way before we were around. You know. But not 12,000 years. Only went to 2012. Okay. But they talk about the cycles. They did talk about the cycles and stuff. But again, I mean, like we're in 2025. Who decided what? After Christ died, now we start? What happened before then? What about the Tower of Babel, right? Where they were building this monument to the skies. You read your Bible, you heard about the Tower of Babel, right? And God was angry. So he mixed up all the languages, and that's why we got all these different languages now. I mean, read your Bibles, explain that one. When did that happen? Right? I mean, come on. So I'd love to join your live. All I do is research every single thing. I trust no one. I hear you, B-Rad. I hear you. I'm the same way. Noah's Ark. Guys, hold on one second. You out of work already, honey? Bob and Lyman? Hi, Bob. Hi, Lyman. Heather's calling me and having me say hi to you guys. All right, honey. Well, let me call me back after I'm done. Oh, you're good. I love you. All right, bye. She had to just call and mess with me, but that's okay. So she's at work, working hard, as you can see, watching Dad doing a live stream. Um, but again, question everything, folks. I truly believe you should. Don't take, again, the information that we're given. I want you to remember this and take this to heart. The information that we're giving is the information that they want us to hear. Remember that. What we're hearing here in the US, in Canada, they're hearing something different. In the UK, they're hearing something different. In France, it's different. In Germany, it's different. In Russia, it's different. In China, it's different. So, the information, if you believe everything that you're being told, then you're very naive, very, very naive. So, real quick, again, if you have not shot that thumbs up yet, please do so. We got 304 in the chat. We're at 197 on the thumbs up. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, please do so to show support for the channel. Again, I thank you ahead of time. Really makes a huge difference with the algorithms. So I thank you for that as well. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notification as well. So, all right. And so one more time thing I'm going to talk about before we're going to do egg count. I'm going to talk about one thing while we're doing egg count. Okay. So how many eggs today? Total number of eggs. Did Miss Betty White lay? And of the 3 Easter eggers, how many of them gave us an egg? So I'll give you guys a moment to get your guesses in, and I'll watch on the side for the right answer while I talk about this. In the 1940s, they were doing cloud seeding, right? So that's the 1940s. That's 85 years ago, right? 85 years ago. You think they might have perfected it by now, right? You think they're probably pretty good at it now and they just don't talk about it realistically anymore? Think about that. Think about that. So, just something to be aware of. A lot going on, but again, they're going to tell you no to this, no to that. We don't know. We don't know. So, a lot of games, guys, a lot of games, and it happens constantly, and it's not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. And I encourage all of you, do your own research, right? Do your own research. Pay attention. Stuff that's going on now in our sky, that's not normal, right? How come, and then people say, well, the jets are at different levels and it depends on that and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Come on. Really? One jet will fly, have a little trail behind it, and then that dissipates and goes away. Another plane will fly and have a stream behind it that doesn't go away, that spreads out and is there for who knows how long. What is that? It's questions, just questions. So, yeah, Disney put out about cloud seeding in the 60s. Yep. And then they banned it. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, what about Area 51? That's a good one. What's going on there? Are there, the crash site at Roswell? They covered that up and tried to say it was a weather balloon, and everybody knows that that wasn't the case. All right. Okay. If you had the same exact guess as Mary Taylor, she was the only one. Well, somebody after her did, but Mary Taylor got it right first. 10 eggs today. Yes for Miss Betty White, and all 3 of my Easter eggers laid today. So it was 10 eggs, yes, and 3. So they did really, really good today. Really happy about that. I think I got like 9 yesterday. So they're really steadily, we're getting good amount of eggs. And that's out of 14 hens. So I'm not complaining about that at all. Not complaining about that at all. But anyway, that's where the whole ancient aircraft, how did, let's think about this, okay? Who remembers the first computer, right? It took up a whole area in, a thing. And now, here we go. Little computer right there, folks. Now it's that big. from a whole huge room. Yep, you were off, JJ, by one egg. I saw that too. I laughed. I'm like, not today, DJ, not today. Um, but again, like I said, it's just how did that technology advance so quickly? How did we go from where we were in the 1940s to where we are now? I mean, that's just leaps and bounds in technology. Leaps and bounds. I remember the first cell phones. They had like it was a big case that you had to carry, and you had to keep it in your car, and then they would. It was huge to be able to do that. Now we have, this nice little thin thing to use, and you can do everything on it. Look up anything you want, and everybody's got one. So, what do we all have, folks, right there? Also, our own personal tracking device. We can track each other, find out what's going on, where you're at, what you're doing. When you commit a crime and you're a moron and you have your phone with you, they know exactly where you were. They can ping it down. They caught that couple out west somewhere where they killed like the kids and somebody else, and they pinged the cell phone. They figured out exactly where they were. And what did they find there? They found the bodies. Imagine that. Yeah, the brick mobile phone. Exactly. Are you kidding me? I remember the pagers. We always had cell phone or pay phones everywhere, right? Pay phones were everywhere. So you had your little pager, and you have that on your side, and you look at it. The number would come up, just the number, phone number. You look at that, and you went, okay. So you had to go find a pay phone, or you had to go home to your landline, which nobody has anymore, realistically, right? And there you are. So it's the technology, just even in my lifetime, has been amazing. You know, we've we had the home computer. We had the stackable, and now I have this laptop, and that's all I need. I can live stream. I can get anything that I want. I can go on my Netflix and watch any movie that I want to watch. Uh, you know, I can look for whatever I want. Any questions that I have of anything, I can find it right on here. So that's pretty wild. Morning Light. Ed, what will your group do about cell phones if it hits the fan? It ain't going to matter once it hits the fan, Morning Light. That ain't going to matter. There probably won't be power anyway at that point in time. And that's just, I'm going to tell you, like I said, me personally, what I think is going to happen, I've been asked this before, and I will tell you exactly what my thought process is on it again. I believe that one day, right now, lights are on, everything is normal. You're going to be going to work just like you did on 9/11, right? Everybody was getting ready for work. And then I don't think it'll be an EMP. I just think it's going to be, bloop, and the lights are out. And that's it. And then, most people at that point are going to sit around at first and wait for the lights to come back on. That's what most people are going to do. Now, if that happens and you realize that it's a widespread thing and there is not just in your area, right? Not just in your area that there's a power outage, but if it's a widespread and you get on the phone and you call, your friend up in New Jersey or New York or wherever, and their power's out too, and everybody's power's out, it's time to get on the move because you have a small window of time. And again, the majority of people at first are going to sit around and wait. They're going to wait for that power to come back on. And by the time they realize that power is not going to come back on, you need to be where you need to be because it's going to be chaos and it'll be quick. They've always had the mantra, you got 72 hours, you got 3 days to get to where you want to go. I don't believe you got that long anymore. I don't. I think you're lucky if you got 36 hours, if you're lucky, So like I've told my daughter, like I've told other people in the group, I don't care if you're at work. Things go sideways, you leave, you get home, you pack up, and you get on your way down here. Period. End of story. Not debate. Maybe we'll leave in the morning. You need to leave now. Now. And because, like I said, again, when that time comes, It's going to get ugly really, really fast. And, the quicker that we get people here, the easier it is going to defend stuff, because I don't think, like where I'm at right here, hella, for the love of God, really, love you, but stop. Um, I think where we're at, I'm very fortunate that we're not going to get touched right away. Hopefully not, anyway. That we wouldn't be touched right away. Now, eventually, would we have some issues to deal with? Absolutely. Okay. I think everybody's going to be at some point. But if we get enough people here can defend, we're going to be okay. Do I think everybody's going to make it? Probably not. I hope everybody makes it. But like I said, we've kind of talked about that, what we're going to do, and those type of things, and how we would deal with it. And so, but hopefully everybody's going to be paying attention, and like Mark drives a box truck. Okay, good example, and he's on the road, and he could be 5 hours north of home when SHTF hit. So now he's got to get back home first, then pack up, and then get on the road. Now, most people generally are within an hour of home, right? You're within an hour of home. Those people that are within an hour of home can get home, get packed up, and get on the road pretty quickly while he's still trying to get back home, depending on where he is. So, the sooner the better. The sooner the better. That's my advice to any of you. If you have a bug out location that you're going to go to, you got people that you're going to work with. If you plan on bugging in, if you're planning on bugging in, fortify your homes. Have that plywood that you can block windows so that somebody can't throw a brick through your window. But the one thing, if you live in suburbia, if you live in the city and all that type of stuff, folks, they can burn your house down. So there's a thing you got to be ready for. What are you going to do then? Are you going to stay in your house and it's on fire, right? Because you wouldn't give up what you had. So you got to think about those things too. So, but hopefully Poland doesn't invoke Article 5 of NATO. Yeah, exactly. And there's another thing with that whole situation there. What's the truth of that? Do we know? We know what we're being told, Nasser dumbass says, I'm usually 5 to 8 hours from home. Exactly. So now you're looking at getting home and then getting to where you want to be. My sister is on 26 acres. They said I could stay in the workshop. It has everything. Well, there you go. Again, and I'm sure you would be getting a carload or whatever to have with you to take there to get to your bug out location. I mean, I hope everybody gets here. I hope everybody brings full vehicle, like Mark would have himself, his son, his wife. They all three could drive a separate car and load them up. That would be a lot of stuff. They're going to need it. They're going to need it. That last trip that you're coming down, hopefully you got a lot of stuff here already, but that should focus on food, ammunition, whatever other weapons that you have, whatever you need. Yeah, medication, right, medication. That's only going to last for so long. You better look for other alternatives. What might work for you? What could work that you could take that's going to help you in that situation. I'm very fortunate, folks. I don't take any medication at all. I don't take anything. Advil. So, culinary night. Yeah, there you go. But, right, exactly. So, but in the meantime, while we have time, we will continue to make progress here. We're going to continue to do what we can, hopefully planning on having more time, just like with getting the extra insulation that we got. Now, some of that will go into, in between when we're putting up the, for the drop downs. But, you just having extra is not a bad thing. Having extra supplies is not a bad thing. So, but yeah, medicinal plants have, and here's something I'm gonna leave you guys with too. Okay, knowledge is power. Remember that. Okay, having books, first aid, construction, wild edibles. The woods will feed you if you let the woods feed you. There's all kinds of stuff that you can eat that you can survive with that way. So, but yeah, we have a well and we have rain catchment all over the place. So, but anyway, guys, keep prepping, do what you can do. I'm going to leave you with my favorite saying in the world, STD, right? Step, thing, and day. If you set realistic goals that you can meet and you work methodically on them, one step at a time, one thing at a time, one day at a time, right? That's all you got to do. Work at it methodically. You can achieve those goals. Okay, enough. I'm gonna beat her to death after this video, and I'm not. I'm just kidding. She's a naughty child, but anyway, work methodically at what you can control, folks, and you can achieve anything that you want to achieve within realistic expectations. Please be safe. Have a great night, guys. I will see you all later. Prepper Nurse 1 out for now.